Welcome to OpenBXRX Tuesday on BronxNet. I'm your host, Kibin Aline, and I'd like to invite you to get social with us at BronxNet TV on Instagram and Twitter, and BronxNet Community Television on Facebook. When the mayor says recovery for all of us, he truly meant all of us. The Office of Nightlife, the Mayor's Office of Community Mental Health, and Backline Care presents a new initiative aimed to give nightlife workers mental health assistance. Here to discuss the initiative is Ariel Pallets, Executive Director of the Office of Nightlife. Ariel, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, can we first just start out talking about the Office of Nightlife and what that department does for New Yorkers? Because there's so many, I don't know if everyone's fully aware of what your office does.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, relatively speaking, the Office of Nightlife is new to New York City. This office is the first of its kind in the history of New York. And it was created 3.5 years ago to really be a dedicated non-enforcement liaison between the hospitality industry, the night, and the city.
So, the pandemic took a toll on not only our physical health, but the mental health of many around our city. Can you detail how you've probably seen this play out?
Well, I mean, for the nightlife industry, it's a hard job, as everyone knows. It's much like even being a shift worker that works overnight, like a police officer or a doctor. And so it's a high stress environment, a lot of pressure in general. And so even pre-pandemic, we were seeing the need to provide mental health support for the industry. This was only amplified and had a greater sense of urgency during the time of the pandemic. We were hearing really disturbing stories about self-harm, suicidal thoughts, relapse from addiction, post-traumatic stress, and just high anxiety in general. This pandemic, as we know, targets or is spread in social gathering spaces. And it's especially stressful when you must go to a social space, especially when your livelihood depends on it.
So, the Office of Nightlife, the Mayor's Office of Community Mental Health, and Backline Care partnered for a new initiative to kind of combat this. Can you tell us more about that effort?
Sure. I mean, again, the sense of urgency really became evident to us. And again, as you had also mentioned, the mayor did commit for mental health for all. And so we took the opportunity to partner with the mayor's Office of Community Mental Health and a non-for-profit backline in order to provide what we heard people needed. First is a free weekly collective trauma mental health support group for people in the industry. It's every Monday at 4 p.m. and you can register in advance so that you can get a reminder email because everyone's life is so hectic, as we know. And we also provide free one-on-one casework support to help you develop a personal mental health plan and to assess what free and affordable and sliding scale services there are, not just locally, but nationally. So it's really someone who takes your hand and walks you through your needs and what's available and what you can afford.
Now, who is eligible for this?
It's really anyone in the nightlife, music, and hospitality industry. And so if that's how you make your living and that's primarily your livelihood, then you're eligible for this program.
So now the next thing I found super interesting was that you collaborated, like you said, with a nonprofit organization, Backline.
Mhm.
How did you learn about them?
So, really, the Office of Nightlife, our greatest strength is to be able to amplify and hear what the industry needs and to act on it. And so we really reached out to the industry. In this case, I reached out to the House of Yes, and one of the owners, Anya, over there, had been very public about a mental health crisis in her own life. And so I went and I called her and I said, what was your experience like and what worked for you. And I also reached out to Diana Mora, who owns a venue called Friends and Lovers, but also is the head of New York City Nightlife United. And they had also been doing a lot of work with owners and workers. And they agreed that collective trauma support groups, and the casework was really what they needed. And Anya had worked directly with Backline and really endorsed them. And then when I brought it up to the Mayor's Office of Community Mental Health, they were already aware of this group and were able to also endorse their effectiveness. And we just felt, again, time is of the essence. This is what the industry said they need. Let's do it.
I want to touch on the fact that many New Yorkers view nightlife workers as the life of the party. It's fun, it's exciting, but they may not realize what they go through. You mentioned previously that there has always been a great need for mental health support for the nightlife community. What are some of the traumas and stress workers in that field deal with on a daily basis, and how has it been heightened by the pandemic?
Well, I'll just preface by saying first, I think there's no industry that really is spared from mental health needs and concerns. And everyone, I think this pandemic has shown, can benefit from having open, honest conversations about mental health and transparent support. Our office is dedicated to this industry, and that's why it is our focus to make sure they have what they need. But it's a high energy, high volume environment that can be crowded. You're dealing with public personal service, the service industry. You're dealing with making sure people get what they need, customer service. There's alcohol, of course, involved, loud music. Also, your sleep hours are off. You wake up late, you work late. Sometimes dinner is at 4 a.m. and breakfast is at 5 p.m. And so your rhythms are different and the stressors are different. Again, somewhat like a shift worker in a hospital. So, and I also think people that work at night are sometimes people that also have other dreams and are working and hustling during the day. They're actors, they're musicians. And so they're highly ambitious, highly creative, highly sensitive people that are really doing everything they can to make it in this town. And that's why nightlife is such a great stepping stone for those ambitious people. And those are the people that we want to make sure are thriving and surviving.
That was such a lovely way to put it. Thank you so much for answering that. Now, what can the people who are going to join this program expect to encounter?
I think, first and foremost, that, they've been heard, and that there are services that are answering to their needs. And so I hope they encounter a safe space that they feel that they can reach out to and feel safe to do so. They will find confidentiality, they will find compassion. In the collective trauma groups on Mondays, they're going to find that they're not alone and they can share these experiences with other workers. And I think that really is the foundation of to begin to heal, that you're not alone and that there's support for you and that there's no shame and that we're all in this together and we need each other and it's okay to ask for help.
Now, I want to talk about the importance of having free mental health services, especially like in our city where there's so many people dealing with so many different things.
Well, mental health is expensive, and the profession can be very costly. And I don't want to also, misrepresent the free. There's free collective trauma groups on Mondays, but then the caseworkers work to find affordable sliding scale service providers, but also if there are free. So it's a mixture of free and affordable. So I don't want people to think, oh, it's a free mental health for all. It's affordable and accessible, and you have a caseworker that will work within your means. Needless to say, free mental health for all would be, the ideal scenario. And I think as awareness of the need for this for everyone, we're probably headed in that direction. But for now, this program is really meant to meet you where you are and to provide what we can to help support you.
Now, where can people in that industry sign up for these programs?
Well, I really encourage everyone in the nightlife industry to visit our website, nyc.gov/nightlife, and also to follow us on social media at NYC Nightlife Gov. And you can also follow Backline Care. On our website, you will find a link to the Elevate program, and you can register on Eventbrite for the following week or weeks in advance, and it gives you a reminder email that so you don't forget. And I would just recommend again that people follow us on social. We have lots of different kinds of programs and support for the industry. Sign up for our newsletter, which you can also find on our website, and just stay in the loop because we're always doing new things, providing guidance and information, and also amplifying the voice of the industry and community to make sure that you have a seat at the table and you're being heard every day.
That's amazing, Ariel. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
We'll be right back.